Welcome to Ingathering at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston. We are a congregation that welcomes you and extends a heartfelt and inclusive invitation to join us in meaningful worship and in service to the world. We greet all those who join us this morning, those in our sanctuary, all of our many online viewers, así como el creciente número de participantes bilingües que nos acompañan desde sus hogares. As we do several times throughout the year, this morning our service is multi-generational. This means those of all ages are welcome to experience worship together. We won't sing the children on their way, nor do we have our children's education groups meeting this morning. But we do have our nursery staff available, if that works better for your little one. Due to an uptick in cases, we are again requiring the wearing of masks while inside the building. We hope it will be only for a brief time, but we continue to err on the side of caution. Now, please join Dr. Rock for our first hymn.
Good morning. I invite you to open your teal hymnals to number 1046. Then rise in body or spirit and join me as we sing.
Atmospheric water vapor condenses, and the water droplets succumb to gravity. Drops gather on leaves, then join to create a trickle that falls to the ground. Those trickles mingle on the earth to form a rivulet that, again, unites with other rivulets to establish a stream. Gravity continues its work, and one stream finds another, then another, and they congregate to become a tributary to a mighty river. Like those droplets, we congregate with one another to become more than we are individually and gather our strength and support from those around us. As the mingling of the waters refreshes those it touches, may we be rejuvenated as we congregate for the ingathering of this church. Welcome. We are excited to welcome you here with us. Come, let us worship together. Welcome to our annual ingathering and water communion service. Traditionally, on a Sunday right before students return to school, often near Labor Day, many Unitarian Universalist congregations begin the new congregational year with ingathering. For the last 4 decades, many have included the water communion, also known as the water ceremony or the mingling of waters. Ingathering marks a return to regular church attendance after a summer away from school, and sometimes away from home on vacation. Many attribute the summer break to an agrarian society's need for the entire family to help on the farm, but extra hands are typically needed for spring planting and the fall harvest, not during the summer. More likely is the fact that before air conditioning, cities made of asphalt, glass, and metal created a sweltering environment with very little relief. America's middle and upper class families would escape to the cooler countryside. Certainly, some of the Unitarians and Universalists in Boston followed this pattern. Many students no longer showed up during the hottest months, and summer breaks were instituted, first in urban areas, then in the countryside. Fans of the musical Hamilton will remember in the second act, Eliza asks Alexander to join the family upstate during the summer heat. Hamilton instead stays in steamy New York to craft a compromise so his financial proposals will make it through Congress, and finds himself compromising other things as well. Almost 200 years later, in 1980, 2 Unitarian Universalist women created the water ritual as part of a worship service they designed for a convocation. This year, for our water communion, we invite you to meditate upon the question, how does the water you brought refresh and renew you? In your order of service, you'll find a piece of paper with raindrops, a reminder of the vast cycle of water that we're each a part of. I invite you to write a response to the question, how does the water you brought refresh and renew you? Of course, if you haven't brought water, you can think metaphorically and think, how would the water I would have brought refresh and renew me? How does the water you brought refresh and renew you? There will now be 3 minutes for you to reflect on the question. Ushers will collect your raindrop responses during the offering, and we'll read representatives of your responses a little later on. tomorrow, hundreds of thousands of children from across Houston will return to school. They didn't cheer for that, did they? In the last few weeks, many others returned to private school or surrounding school districts. Many of those who are homeschooled are now also beginning a time of renewed academic activity. Today, we bless the children and youth in our congregation at the start of the school year. I invite parents and children present to stand now if they feel comfortable doing so, but stay in your pews. While you do, Carol will come around and hand you a bookmark and a sticker for your water bottle or laptop. We hope these tokens will remind you how you are loved at this church and of your connection to the mystery of our being on this earth while you are at school. Parents, whether you are here or at home, you can place your hand on the shoulder of your child or children. If your child has on their school backpack, you might place your hand on the backpack instead. Parents, over the last few school years, during a time of physical distancing and pandemic, it has been especially hard to support yourselves and your children. You may still feel alone or overwhelmed or powerless. Your hands on your children are a reminder that you are their support and caregivers during this time. And I extend my hands to you and invite the congregation to make a similar gesture as a reminder that this congregation is here for you during the upcoming year as you care each day for your children, as you face hardships, and as you experience joyful moments as well. We Unitarian Universalists believe that we form community to take care of each other, and we are called to do so now more than ever. Children and youth, those of you starting your studies, and for those of you whom your studies have already commenced, I extend to you this blessing. Even when you are away from First Church, you carry the heart of Unitarian Universalism with you wherever you go. May you feel curiosity all of your days. May your imagination catch fire. May you find courage when it is necessary. May confusion lead to better questions. May you feel compassion to those around you and they toward you. May you feel seen and heard, and may you see and hear others. May you speak up for those who have not been heard or seen. As your spirit's home, we are made stronger when you share what you learn. We ask that you bring what you learn back to us. And we ask the congregation, extending their hands to you, to share their love and blessings as you head on your journey this week. I ask the congregation to offer their support to the children by saying, "We will." We will. Amen. During our service today, we invite anyone who would like to do so to use the crayons, colored pencils, and paper at the end of the row to draw. If I was out there, I would be drawing. You might want to draw your favorite water source, how water connects all of us, or anything you can imagine as we continue the service. Please join with me in a spirit of reflection, a time that some call meditation and others name prayer. Today is an intergenerational service, and I'd like to do something a little bit different. I'm sharing this prayer for our children by the Reverend Dr. Robert F. Kaufman. We wish for you a storm or two that you may enjoy the calm. We wish for you tranquility in time of trial. We wish you a cool breeze on a warm day and pale white clouds that you may better appreciate the blueness of the sky. We wish you darkness that you may see the stars. We wish you anticipation of high adventure, and we wish you the courage to avoid battle. We wish you a sense of wonder and poetry and music. We wish you companionship that you may appreciate solitude. We wish you a friend who will understand you, and understanding so that you may have a friend. We wish you may become all that you wish to be, and more than you hope you can be. We wish you a flower to smell, a hand to touch, a voice to cheer, a heart to gladden, and we wish you someone to love as we love you. Amen. We pause now to lift up that which sits heavy and light on our hearts. Please continue to keep Richard Rostad's family in your prayers as they mourn his passing. The celebration of his life will be this upcoming Saturday, August 27th, at 2 o'clock here. We continue to mourn and hold in our hearts those dealing with the results of violence from around our city to around the world. May we not only learn peace and learn love, may we practice them in our lives. Well, I'm compelled to read this. Blessings requested for the celebration of the birth of Donald Scott Cooper, born in 1960. So you now know my first name and the year I was born. I invite you now to say the name or bring to mind those you wish to be held by the loving embrace of this religious community. They are part of the great cloud of witness and memory, and we will, even if we do not know their names, hold them in our hearts. In this great cloud of witness and memory, amid the beloved community, we hear these names and hold them in our hearts. Let us remember the suffering and joy amid and among our community that we do not know. We pause in awe and wonder of the beauty, diversity, and mystery that is life. In the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, and in the spirit of compassion, I invite each of you to enter into a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection.
Each week, our morning offering is shared with an organization that shares our UU values and through which we may live out our principles in the world. This week, that organization is the Clean Water Fund. Since 1974, Clean Water Fund has helped people campaign successfully for cleaner and safer water, cleaner air, and protection from toxic pollution in our homes, neighborhoods, and workplaces. First Church member and Clean Water Fund Texas Director Becky Smith is here to tell us more about the organization.
Good morning. You've seen the insert. Water nourishes and sustains all life. Need I say more? Sorry, I will. What a wonderful day to be part of the service. And we gratefully received the shared offering today for Clean Water Fund. You heard from Connie. Clean Water Fund is a quite old organization, grassroots. It's member supported, and that's how we raise our funds in addition to grant funding, but also it's grassroots. And this means our strategy is strength in numbers. When there is an unfair practice or pollution going on, which often in our region and many others is equated to environmental racism, meaning folks who are low income, often communities of our Black and brown neighbors, have been on the front lines of pollution for decades as a result of systemic racism. Clean Water Fund's policy work and advocacy and community organizing works to restore that, and we call it, or restore justice, we call that environmental justice. And so that's our efforts at advocacy and policy are what you're supporting today, and we are so grateful. We are 20,000 members strong in Texas, and we could use more all the time. And then I'll finally say, strength in numbers, again, is the way we fight our fights. And in Houston, we see lead and drinking water issues in low-income communities, as well as lack of flood protection. Those are some of the issues that we work on, and we appreciate your support for that. Thank you.
Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service. And those watching the live stream will see the instructions on your screen. Our regular Sunday morning offering collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We ask you give generously. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Please join with me in saying the dedication to the offering, which you can find in your order of service. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
Please open up your hymnals to number 210, Wade in the Water. Then rise in body or spirit and join in singing.
Somebody's beeping outside. Car horn. 19th century teacher, poet, and author Lucy Larcombe wrote, "A drop of water, if it could write out its own history, would explain the universe to us." Allow me to elaborate on the story I began earlier. In 1980, two Unitarian Universalist women, Carolyn McDade and Lucille Shuck Longview, were asked to create a worship service for the Women and Religion Continental Convocation of Unitarian Universalists. As they shaped that service, McDade and Longview wanted to create a new ritual that spoke to our connectedness to one another, to the totality of life, and to our place on this planet. They included a new inclusive symbol of women's spirituality: water. They wrote, "Water is more than simply a metaphor. It is elemental and primary, calling forth feelings of awe and reverence. The ocean is considered by many to be the place from which all life on our planet came. It is the womb of life." Andrew Schaefer, former president of the American Society of Hematology, thought of it this way: blood can be thought of as a private ocean, a recapitulation of what life was like for all the years we spent drifting as microscopic single-celled organisms, taking up nutrients from seawater and then eliminating waste products back into seawater. Not only is blood mostly water, but the watery portion of blood, the plasma, has a concentration of salt and other ions that is remarkably similar to seawater. Our interconnectedness is pulsing through our bodies. So, water is not only a metaphor for interconnectedness, it is the reality. It is the main constituent of Earth's hydrosphere. and the fluids of all known living organisms. Water covers about 71% of the Earth's surface, mostly in seas and oceans. Even without providing food or energy, it is vital for all known forms of life. Just as in one drop of water are found all the secrets of all the oceans, one drop might reflect all the elements of the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Now, imagine if that drop was faceted. According to a legend, the Vedic god Indra has a net that hangs over his palace on Mount Meru, the axis mundi of Hindu cosmology and Hindu mythology. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, the image of Indra's net is used to describe the interconnectedness of the universe. Here is that story. Far away in the heavenly abode of the great god Indra, there's a wonderful net which has been hung by some cunning craftsman in such a manner that it stretches out infinitely in all directions. In accordance with the extravagant tastes of deities, the craftsman has hung a single glittering jewel in each eye of the net. And since the net itself is infinite in dimension, the jewels are infinite in number. There hang the jewels, glittering like stars in the first magnitude, a wonderful sight to behold. If we now arbitrarily select one of these jewels for inspection and look closely at it, we will discover that in its polished surface there are reflected all the other jewels in the net, infinite in number. Not only that, but each of the jewels reflected in this one jewel is also reflecting all the other jewels, so that there's an infinite reflecting process occurring. So, taking the concept of interconnectedness from this cosmic, all-encompassing vision to the most personal one-on-one, we see our dependence on one another is as old as humanity. In the Paleolithic or Old Stone Age, danger was everywhere. Harsh weather, few resources, and large animals only too happy to make dinner of those early Homo sapiens. So these folks became social creatures, living and working together within a community of belonging to simply survive. People within these tribes came to cooperate and trust one another, to the extent that they might sacrifice themselves to protect their tribe, because they knew the others would do the same for them. And so it went down through history. Collectivist social organizations were the norm. In early societies across Europe, Asia, and the Americas, people worked in partnership and lived in harmony with nature. These societies rely on a horizontal social structure, stressing relationship within the communities rather than a social hierarchy between them. But by the 16th century, religion, politics, and economics converged in Europe to create a new worldview. The Protestant Reformation occurred, and a central tenet was that individuals did not need an intermediary like a priest or saint to connect to God. Then the Protestant work ethic promoted industriousness, duty, hard work, progress, and the accumulation of wealth. Individualism and capitalism were the inevitable results. Individuals intent on building wealth found themselves even crossing an ocean in search of more land and riches. Then, when encountering cultures with strong religious, ethnic, and familial group ties, not to mention respect for the land, there was an inevitable clash. These collectivist groups suffered from colonialist efforts to establish individualistic social organizations that contradicted indigenous cultural values. Now, because of division of labor and the importance of innovation over social norms, Individualist social organizations are considered more efficient than collectivist societies, to those to whom efficiency and profit are paramount. But I believe it doesn't take long to see what gets lost. Stone Age citizens may have made prehistoric heroes of those willing to sacrifice themselves to a saber-toothed tiger for the good of the tribe, but in today's corporate culture, the heroes are those willing to sacrifice others so that they may gain, usually only in a business sense, but not always. Many people began to question that dog-eat-dog Western view of a workplace and career during the pandemic. In what has been referred to as the Great Resignation, nearly 57 million Americans quit their jobs between January 2021 and February 2022. One writer called it, instead, the Great Exploration, because workers began re-examining their personal and professional priorities. People began to reconsider whether the time they spent away from family and friends to commute and work unpaid overtime was really worth it. People realized their boss on the Zoom call, referring to the worldwide wicket family, isn't family. The 4-year-old running amok over their shoulder during that Zoom call is whose family. The old friends who call us out of the blue to check up because the isolation was taking a toll on all of us are whose family. People were longing for human connection. The collectivist society features of strong religious and familial group ties began to gain importance over the individualist emphasis on unending hard work and the accumulation of wealth for us and our immediate family. We have slowly begun entering a time of coming back together. Some places we go are tentative about our maskless mingling and embracing. Other places seem to have not even heard of a pandemic. But is there now any question how important being together with one another is? Marked by this ingathering and beginning of the church here with our faith community. In one of my favorite quotes, Albert Einstein told us, "A human being is part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feeling, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty." Which leads me to circle back to where I began. A drop of water, if it could write out its own history, would explain the universe to us. The water I bring today is not my own. It is what remains from last year's service and indeed from many years' services before. The water connects this community with its history. It's a reminder of the gifts that have been given in the past so that we might have a present together. This water has come from across town and across the world, but has remained in this community. We use it at child dedications and memorial services to represent the community of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston. In pouring it now, I invoke all those who have come before us and the collective experiences of joy, wisdom, and sorrow that make this congregation sacred.
Water connects us to the earth. We are water, and water is us. The rivers, the streams that flow across the planet's surface, in some sense, flow in our veins as well. All life on this planet is entwined.
We invite you to listen to the words of this congregation about how water sustains us. I invite forward the water from the members of our congregation so it can be mingled with the congregational water. This water is from both those gathered here and those who participated online but who brought their water to us over the course of the week. Our mingled water is a symbol of how we are connected and united as a beloved community.
Bathing in the water renews my body and spirit, making me feel alert and ready to face the world.
Swimming in the water is good for my soul.
It hydrates me, but also my cats, who refresh and renew, just as I do for them.
Water not only gives our body needed fuel, but it is so very refreshing on a hot summer day. Drink up, everyone.
Water has become a constant reminder of our interconnection with every living thing in the world. As we are hearing every day about drought and flood in places near and far, and the devastating effects of water imbalance. This is a reminder of our common reliance on water and on each other. While we cannot control whether we experience drought or flood, we are responsible for how we respond, both how we care for those impacted by extremes and how we are stewards of the water with which we are blessed.
The solitude I feel from my little cabin on the Pedernales River. I am so grateful for the beauty around the river.
Cycling along Bray's Bayou renews my spirit with its bustling of bird and waterfowl life and its native Texan wildflowers.
It's warm.
This water, taken from the reflecting pool my family visited on our first full day living in Houston, represents our new shared life in a new place as part of a new community.
This water is from the small creek behind my elementary school. It reminds me of my earliest lessons of love and kindness to all.
This water sustains me and our planet Earth. It is crucial to our existence. Water is running short in many parts of our country, and in Europe, suffering additional water shortages. People are learning to appreciate water.
Wash away sadness and doubt and begin again with thoughts of hope.
When the wind blows summer rain, I feel a deep and longing connection to the sky and to the earth and plants soaking up the life-giving droplets.
This water is from my kitchen. I love to cook for myself and especially others. Some of my fondest memories revolve around food, family, games, and conversation at the kitchen table.
It keeps me hydrated and healthy. It is a source of healing, and it is ever-changing, just like I am.
It cools my fiery temper from flaring up at small things. Hopefully, it helps me grow.
I am nourished and renewed when I remember the warm community of friends and family who gathered at the Grand Canyon to celebrate my lovely daughter's wedding to her true love.
This water from Lake Michigan reminds me how awake and alive I felt when I braved the cold long enough to take a dip. So chilly compared to the warm Gulf waters.
It keeps my family going during long walks. It makes that time together safe, comfortable, and possible.
Getting back to the Virginia beaches of my childhood and sharing lazy beach days with my kids was a much-needed form of renewal.
We brought water from our house. The water represents our love, feelings of security, and the joy of leaving our Roach Motel behind.
I like swimming in water and diving in it. I like water because I get to play with my friends.
It brings back happy memories.
The bay in Puerto Rico renewed my sense of awe.
It helps keep us young.
This water sustains me, nourishes me, and lets me continue to give back to those around me.
My water is from the Pacific and Oregon. The water and beach are different every morning. Every morning is a refreshment. It makes for peace and contentment. And finally, it hydrates me, but also my cats, who refresh and renew me just as I do for them.
I offer you now these words from Tess Baumberger. May we have the wisdom of water, that life will have its falls, sometimes like a mountain stream tumbling over round stones, sometimes like threads of rain spun from clouds, sometimes in breathtaking cascades. May we have the wisdom of water, that each fall is finite, each ends in contact with earth. May we remember that we in this community are as earth to each other. We cushion each other's falls, lessening the impact, supporting one another through hard times. We are the ground of blessed community. May we have the wisdom of water, that we will rise again from each fall, sometimes like mist breathed from neighborhood trees, sometimes like a geyser shouting from the earth, sometimes as imperceptibly as evaporation from the sea. There, we will have it with us throughout the year. We will dedicate children, hold memorial services, or hold weddings. This water will represent us, the gathered community, in our collective wisdoms, joys, and sorrows. So, with these words, we dedicate our water. Unnamed and unknown source of all existence, which some of us call God and others think of as the laws of the universe. We wish to know the wisdom of water. We hope to learn to bend and flow down the mountains and up from the springs. We will be soft like spring rain, ever renewing life around us. May we have the wisdom of water. Water carries us like our community as we drift through life. When we hit rapids or when we float at peace, water has blessed us. It has given us life. It sustains us. We know that each drop of rain, each rivulet is sacred, just as every member of our community is sacred. We are thankful for the water of our community, for the water of life, for the water that runs through our veins. In times of crisis and in times of joy, let us remember the strength of water. We hope that like a drop of rain, We are always part of something greater than ourselves, that we are never alone. So that we may collectively bless the water, I invite the congregation to say, Amen.
And now, please turn in your hymnals to number 126, our closing hymn, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. Rise in body or spirit and join in singing. Come thou fount of every blessing, to the hearts to sing thy praise, streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us never to be faithful, may we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of love from silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us find ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. When thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Now please join me with the words in your order of service for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish its flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
For the benediction, I share the poem Be Like Water by Reverend Kendra Ford. Run deep, run clear. Fill any space to its own dimensions. Respond to the moon, to gravity. Change colors with the light. Hold your temperature longer than the surrounding air. Take the coast by storm. Go underground. Bend light. Be the one thing people need even when they're fasting. Eat boulders quietly. Be a universal solvent. Blessings on your week. Be like water and go in peace. Amen.
thank you so much for watching our service today. We're glad you're part of our online community, where we welcome people who are diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, as well as gender identity and sexual orientation. There are many different ways you can get involved in our community. One you can do right now is by clicking like below or subscribing to our channel. If you're interested in joining our congregation, please email us at membership@firstuuhouston.org. Thanks so much for joining us.